Alright guys, WebSoak here, back in New Appalachia. Today, we are recording the first episode of 1901 New Appalachia. So 1901 in America is a very interesting year. You will find out why as we get toward the end of the year. So I will note though, as per the election board over here, in the gas station, McKinley and Roosevelt have won the election, and he's renominated to start his next term, and we'll see how that goes for him. So, we'll find out more about that later. So, over here I have built a park, sort of a park plaza area. So, I had this extra area over here, sort of between this big lot that is supposedly going to be used by a train rider to build something with his ferry system. I don't know what he's going to possibly use all of this space for, but we'll see what he does with it. But I have put this plaza over here before this bend starts. Okay, so we have that. I will show you now what I have done one road down. So now we have this street, Radowski Street. So let's head down the street, and over here we have a warehouse, as I mentioned. This neighborhood of Smithtown will be sort of industrial. So we can go into this apartment here. This is a new one I've built. So it's cool, especially with the windows over there. But, so you can go up the apartment over here, and we can go up to the top. So this is the tallest one in this area, but there is one that is the same height in a different area of Smithtown. So let's just check through the windows over here. So we're still not high enough, but you can start to see other buildings, which looks cool in my opinion as well. So we're starting to have a bit of a brick concrete jungle forming over in this area. So let's just go up to the top, and it's cool because you can see above everything else over here. So yep, you can start to see we're nearing the tops of other buildings. And here we are. So welcome to the rooftop area. So over here you can see across to some other buildings over there. We will head over there to the pizzeria in a second, and we will see what has happened there. So let's take a look over here. So yeah, nice view of just everything around here. So I like this spot because you can see the tops of the other buildings. So there's also a roof connection to this building. There's just a ladder connecting it, and some electrical work connecting over there. And on this building, of course, you can see down Smithtown Road, and you can see to the water over there. So let's go down this building, and let's go have a look at what has taken place at Vinny's Pizza. Well, that's what it used to be called. So there's been a bit of a management change over there. I mentioned how we were having some problems with the mafia here, and well, Vinny doesn't own his pizzeria anymore. In fact, Vinny got whacked. Now it's you. That's what the mafia said anyway. I don't know what whacked means, but they said that he was whacked, so he's not going to be showing up anymore. And yeah, so I think that means they killed him, because it said this pizzeria is under news management, grand reopening, and it looks like it was renovated as well, and it's now called Mickey's Pizza. So I guess it's owned by, yep, the Mickey Mafia family over there. Of course, he is dead. Vinny is dead now. So that's what happens when you tried to mess with the mafia in early 1900s America. That's what happens. So he lost control, and he's whacked, as they put it. So yes, so we will head back down this street. So there's a warehouse over here, and this alleyway you can just walk straight through across to the other street if you want. And yeah, so there's just alleyways around. The alleyways are sort of cool because you can use them and sort of go between the buildings. And it looks like this one is a dead, oh no, it's not. Oh, okay, so this one connects to the bakery. So that's cool. See, there's lots of ways to get around. You can just go between alleyways if you want, but of course in the future these start to become locked. So I assume that probably happens around this time where they start locking them up so that you can't actually just walk through them like that. But right now you can, so enjoy it while it lasts. Okay, so if you want to go up this warehouse, you can, and you can see the elevated station over there. You can see over there across to 1st Street, pretty far. That's cool. So now let's head down here, and there's another warehouse over here. So I'll just show you where we are. So we're on Rodowski and Swamplands Avenue over there. Okay, so there's this warehouse which you saw if you watched the Mafia episode, Mafia 2, where that storyline wrapped up with the Vinny Pizzeria. Okay, so now let's head over here. I will show you guys. I've started more work on my subway line. I finished this station. So it's not a subway right now because it's not underground, so it's an elevated line. But I've done more work on my elevated line. So this is the first station complete, called the Smithtown Road, even though it doesn't exit to Smithtown Road, but they do that in real life anyway. So back then, they didn't have route designations, so there were no letters or colors. As for American ones anyway, that I know of, they were just called whatever the route of whatever the name of the line is. So Gordon line because this goes to Gordontown, so this is the Gordon line. It's still boarded up because it's not opened. So you can go over here, you know, 10 cents per ride. That's pretty reasonable for the time. And again, no route designators, so I will be removing that right now actually. So let's do that. So let's just replace that. And yes, so that's how they would do it back then. There would be no route designators, but I found that out after placing some signs, but I changed it, so it's fine. So entry, and yeah, so no entry, last stop, so you can't enter over here, but I will just go up anyway so that you guys can see. So this is a very primitive elevated station. So back then they were pretty basic. They were wooden platforms, and that probably changed when one burned down, I'm guessing. Okay, so Smithtown Road, and of course you have these girders over here because there's a mezzanine below. So you have girders there. It ends over there temporarily. This isn't the last stop that's planned. This is a temporary last stop because there are planned expansions north, which will be underground past this point. So yeah, so that's the first elevated subway station. So let's head south here along Swamplands Avenue. Okay, so I will just show you guys the planned stations along this route as we make our way toward the other two neighborhoods that I've been working on. Well, technically, actually 3 neighborhoods because there's a big cemetery that I will show you guys. We have 2 cemeteries now. So you head, and that's a planned station, by the way. So anytime you see it widen like this, that's going to be a platform. So that will be a station called Kingdom Road because that wide road up there is called Kingdom Road. So we will follow this more south, and I will go down here so that you guys can see some of the street names that we have. So yes, it just continues this way. There's a fire over there from a lightning strike, I'm assuming. Yeah, because it doesn't really put itself out so well. So Culver Street, you have Culver Street over there. Over here you have Westmont Road. And it looks like I have changed the style over here. So you have Washington Street. So over here you're going to have a big sort of complex, sort of big platform or big elevated station. So it's going to be a stacked elevated station. You can see I've already planned out to the upper level, and we'll see what happens with this upper level. It may get abandoned, but it's there now, so it's going to be there pretty much forever now. But there are tracks on it for now. If it doesn't get abandoned, those tracks remain. Okay, so let's continue. So it goes this way. becomes 2 lanes because at the time, most elevated lines were just 2 lanes. 3 lanes did not become common until the 20s, if I'm right, the 1920s. So there will be another station over here. So here we have a cemetery. This neighborhood is now, so this is also a divider. So Washington Street divides the neighborhoods, and now we are in South Smithtown. So over here we have a Civil War cemetery. So I will point out right away that there are a mix of American flags and Confederacy flags. I don't put these to glorify the Confederacy. I just put it for historical accuracy because what you have to remember is this is 1901. And if you lived in 1901, how long ago was the Civil War? Not very long ago, 45 years ago, about. So you still have a lot of people who would have lost parents in the Civil War, so you would still see people probably putting up a lot of flags all around for both sides of the war. And yeah, you just have to remember that's just how it was back then. So those are just for accuracy. Another lightning strike over there, setting things on fire. Okay, so then there's these trees here. I made more tree designs, so now there's these tall trees. Sort of these tall deciduous trees that you have here. And this just goes over to the border of the cemetery, massive cemetery, because war kills a lot of people. Civil War was one of the United States' bloodiest wars. So you have lots of massive cemeteries for the Civil War, like this. And of course, this shield just means unknown soldier. So if you see that in an American cemetery, that's what it means usually. And it will usually say unknown soldier on it anyway. Okay, so the subway line goes along the cemetery over here. And this area will have lots of warehouses. So those may become a retail space at some point. But that's how it went in real life. So that's probably how it will go in Minecraft. But for now, they're not here yet. And over here, we have another neighborhood divider. So this is Polaris Parkway. So parkways usually divide neighborhoods. In some cases, I've seen them divide neighborhoods. So that's what I'm doing here. So this is dividing the neighborhood of Eerie and Smithtown South. Or South Smithtown. So here you have some telephone lines. You typically would see these a lot in the past because, well, a lot of them weren't moved underground, and a lot of places in real life still have these outside anyway. So that would be fairly accurate. This line will become an embankment over here. There will be a station at Polaris Parkway over there. So we can head south over here and we will reach some buildings that I've constructed in Eerie. So I already have the subway station completed for Eerie Road. So I will show you guys that and these buildings. So this is Eerie Road and you have some houses over there. I'll explain more about those shortly. So Tidal Avenue makes it down here, but it's not Tidal Avenue anymore. It's Tidal Boulevard. It widened out. Up there at Culver Street, it widens out and becomes Tidal Boulevard. So of course you have telephone lines here. So let's go here. So this is Eerie Road. So on Eerie Road, you're going to have a lot of buildings similar to this. And then on that side, they're going to become lower built and are going to become houses. Not this style though, I'm going to do a different style. So I will show you guys this building. So it's an empty building, but again, I have access to the roof in case you'd like to go up to the top. So you can. So I will just show you guys over here. You can see to the subway platform. I will show you guys that shortly. Alright, so welcome to the top. Okay, so you can sort of jump across this. So those are close enough to jump across, so that's cool. And you just have some electrical detailing up here. It will be cool when there's more buildings here and you can see more stuff other than just empty blocks. But I think this area will look very cool as well. Gordontown, when we go over there, is very cool. So over here, we have another building. This one's a tall building, of course. There is the entrance to the roof. All buildings will have roof access, if there are apartments at least. And of course, you can see out over here to some houses. So now let's go over to the subway station or the elevated station. Alright, so here we have a metro station. This is my metro company, the WMT, which again, if you're just joining in this episode, stands for Web Mass Transit. So they have the indicator there with a W on top of the typical streetlight design, but this time it's in yellow and it's coded in blue. And over here, you have the WMT Eerie Road station on the Gordontown line to Smithtown. So we have to go over this because it's not opened yet, so it's still boarded up. But you have this mosaic here, WMT. Let's go into the station. So you have staircases over here, so this is how you can enter the station. And yeah, so here's the station entry, Gordontown line, service to Smithtown. And again, it's a wooden platform. But some are building that way are not wooden platforms. They are actually concrete type platforms. So there's just a mosaic here, Eerie Road signs. Back then they were white and black instead of black and white, so that's why this one looks white. But I wonder if you guys will be able to tell the difference on the black and white video, but we'll see because all these videos are not going to be released in color until we have color unlocked and invented in the 50s. So once it becomes the 50s, and we're about halfway through the 50s, is when we will start to see colored video. So if we go over to the other side of the station, here is another exit, Eerie Road. Of course, entry Gordontown line, service to Gordontown. You just walk down here. You have to go over the boarded up part because it's not opened yet. So WMT Eerie Road station, Gordontown line to Gordontown, WMT. So now let's head down here. So this is the Gordontown neighborhood. So you will notice that there are dirt roads on Wild Avenue and it has wooden signs. So the reason for that is because some areas at this time still had dirt roads if they were on the outskirts, and this is certainly the outskirts. So there are some dirt roads, but the hope is that this area will more develop once the subway line opens up, and that it can move forward into the 1900s and not stay stuck in the 1800s. All these houses over here are in 1800s style. Of course, they probably look the same to you guys because of it not having color, but they do have different materials in game, but you guys won't be able to see the color differences, unfortunately. So over here we have a church and a cemetery. So this is the second cemetery I mentioned before. So we'll go inside the church. There's nothing inside. It's just an empty church. And you can see over to the cemetery. And you can see out over there. Alright, so let's go over here. I will show you guys the cemetery. You can see I put some more tall trees over here, some of the deciduous trees. So let's go over here. Here's the cemetery. Pretty cool, I'd say. You can see the houses from the cemetery. Can you see this? Yep, so you can see the subway, the WMT station. I have to get used to saying WMT station instead of subway station because most people won't know I'm referring to an elevated station when I say subway station if they're not from New York. So you have the WMT station over there, and there's a retainer wall over there. So yes, that retaining wall had to be built because the cemetery would have been here first in real life. So we couldn't just remove the cemetery Instead, we had to put a retaining wall there. So, we will continue down, and I will show you guys the main area. So, yeah, so this is sort of just what the streets look like in this area. So, where are we? Carl Road, okay. So, yeah, this is this area. So, there's going to be more buildings here. I might put a school or something here, and PK, so that's going to be a park. And again, you have the main boulevard still there. That main boulevard makes it all the way out of the city and becomes a state road, Route 132, Louisiana Avenue. All right, Carolina Avenue. So we've made it to the main area of Gordontown, or at least where the subway ends. So I sort of call this the main area, and it looks cool because there's trees here, so this area is better because other areas don't have trees on the sidewalk. So these buildings here have an 1800s design to them. So these would have been built in the late 1800s. I'm not so sure they would have been gridded like this, but that's just how I did it in Minecraft. But in real life, they probably would sort of be random because back then people would just build their houses near each other. And you would build your house. You wouldn't buy it. You would build it. So you would build your house and you would try to make it look different from the other houses, and you would put your own design to your house. So you would have to build your house. And it would sort of be semi-wilderness. So I'm sort of representing that by putting lots of trees around the houses. So, yep, you have an American flag over there with 45 stars up there. You actually have people now in this area. So there's a person. Cowboy Road, you have the telephone poles. So this is sort of your early 1900s neighborhood. But again, most people at this time, 90% of Americans were farmers. And only 10% lived in cities like this. So most people were farmers back then. Could you imagine that? Most of you guys would have been a farmer back then. So you have the telephone poles, and this area, I will explain how the houses worked back then. So over here, you have the interior of the house. So this one is, of course, I don't do interiors, I just leave them hollow, but I put floors. So you can see out, but it looks cool with the shaders, really cool with the shaders actually. But, so let's go over and I'll show you guys bathroom situation. So if you need the bathroom in these houses, most houses don't have plumbing yet, so they have outhouses. So this is the bathroom here, and it just sort of has a barred area there. And yeah, so that's the bathroom. Back then you have to go outside and walk to the outhouse, and 1 in 4 people had a horse. 1 in 200 people had a car. That's why I don't have cars out yet. And there is a mod for old cars that I will be using soon, but we're going to wait till at least World War I to start using cars, the 1910s. But since most people had horses at this time, we have stables here. So here are the stables. So every house over here has stables, and there's even a stable over here for this hotel. Yes, this is a hotel. This is not a house. This is a hotel. So this is an 1800s hotel. So that is pretty wild. That's why I called it Wild Avenue. Is it raining outside? No? Okay, I thought I disabled the rain. That was just the lighting. But this one's pretty cool. I might reuse this design because I quite like it. Okay, so yeah, so that's your 1800s hotel. Of course, this is the stables. I don't think I put an outhouse on this one. No outhouse on this property. I only did outhouses on those 2 houses over there. And of course, there you have the WMT station. So they're having some problems right now. There's a bit of a dispute. Sort of, you know, I like to add lore to this world. So right now, there is a bit of a dispute. So the people of Gordontown want the WMT to build a fence over here because, well, it's unsafe because anybody can just walk up onto the tracks and get hit by a train when that starts running. See, you can just walk up here and you can get hit by the train. So there's not even a barrier on this side, but on this side there is. And they are wondering why they only did one side. The WMT company is saying it's not their problem to put up a barrier, and they're basically saying screw you. So this is the barrier from the park. So this is not actually the WMT's barrier. This was put up as required by the park. So there's a park over here, so they were required to put a barrier over there. So they didn't put one over here. So the residents are furious about that because of safety concerns. So we will see what happens with that, but we won't know until this line opens up. So let's go have a look up at the station over here. So Cowboy Road. So we have to go over here, and there's a notice over here. Notice WMT Gordontown line, currently work in progress. So we'll go up here. Again, you have the W indicating a station there. Entry, service to Smithtown Gordon line. You have a waiting area over here and over there. So here's the platform. So this is sort of based off some kind of sea beach 2-track station. If you have been to Sea Beach along the end line, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, then here's the station. So Cowboy Road. Stations at this time were pretty bare bones. So you can just see over there to the street. And it's not walled off, but at some point in the future I will wall this off. But for now, it's bare bones because this was built in 1901, so bare bones station designs at the time. Okay, so let's go and see what's going on over here. So originally, these stoppers were not here. They were over there because I wanted to make it so that tracks extended this way and trains could use them as a crossover to turn around without disrupting service, similar to what the J&Z do at Broad Street. But this part was abandoned because there would be no way to build a tunnel across without spending lots of money. So they did this instead and saved a lot of money. So they did that. And instead this part was abandoned. So that is a shame. But I've left the remnants of it, and there are the old barriers over here. So these will just stay here forever. And yeah, so an abandoned embankment is sitting over there. So that's quite cool. And of course this would not be a safety concern because there's nothing here that would be too dangerous from my company anyway. I mean, there probably would be snakes here in real life, but you can't fault the company for that because there would be snakes in the park as well. So yeah, so now there's one last thing to show. So if we go down this way, and these houses are scattered around because I was pasting them still, so I have to make some more designs, but that's why they're like this. So if we come down here, we come to the south of Gordontown, and you can see the telephone line is sort of sticking out here. This will be connected here. You know what I will do? I will just make this look nicer for the video. So I will do this so that it doesn't just look weird. Okay, so there you go. Let's put that there. Okay, so there you go. So now the telephone line is connected. So yes, this will go way out into the distance, and it will go out into the wilderness as they do in real life. Okay, so yeah, so this is Frontier Road. So this is just the southern road that runs along the south of Gordontown, and over there is the wilds of Colorado. Here we go. Route 132. It's just a wooden sign with an arrow pointing up that way. I know that sort of looks like a cross, but it's meant to be an arrow, but you could take it as you want. Then we have Welcome to New Appalachia, and it sort of transitions into a dirt road. So there you go. Sort of abrupt here, the transition, but I tried to make it fade in. So yes, it becomes a dirt road and it goes out into the wild of Colorado. Of course, we need to add trees here, but that will happen with time as well. So yeah, that's it for today's episode. I will probably upload a Subway Craft episode soon. I want to also make more houses here in this neighborhood. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you are new, please subscribe. And we should have another episode coming out within 1901 in a few days. I am WebSoak, and I am out. See you later, guys.